Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now a massive signal is flashing on this Bitcoin chart, so I'll be talking about that in just a moment, alongside the price still flashing this short-term warning signal as more liquidations are now building up on this Bitcoin chart, while Ethereum is moving closer towards a major move coming very soon. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, taking a look at the 4-day Bitcoin chart, and right now the super trend indicator is still sitting in the red, so nothing's changed on this chart over the last 1 day. And taking a look at the 2-day time frame, we're still technically within the larger bearish trend, forming lower highs and lower lows, with this line of support still sitting at around 52,500, and this line of resistance still sitting at roughly around 68,000. But if we're looking at this Bitcoin chart, what we have seen over the last 1 day is actually a decent drop to the downside in the DXY, which at least in the shorter term is a bullish signal to watch out for the price of Bitcoin. Because first of all, what we saw in recent weeks here in the DXY, basically back in late August entering into early September, was more of a bullish signal in the DXY, which was a bearish signal for Bitcoin, as we saw with this drop to the downside coinciding with the pump to the upside in the DXY. And we did actually form one higher low, which was another bullish signal, and as soon as that basically formed, we continued to see more of a dump in the price of Bitcoin just in the short term, while the DXY was looking more bullish here. But just over the last day or so, we've now cemented a lower high in place in the DXY, and of course a lower high would be a bearish signal for the DXY, which is an inverse for Bitcoin, because usually, not always, but a lot of the time, these two are moving in the opposite directions. And now, once again, it's not a 100% perfect accurate indicator. For example, back here, we saw a major drop to the downside in the DXY, while the price of Bitcoin, for the most part, was playing out a lot of choppy sideways price action, looking relatively neutral and not really seeing a major bullish movement like what we saw back here. But of course, there's other times where the DXY has been majorly bearish, while the price of Bitcoin has been massively bullish. And that is more often the case. Oftentimes when the DXY is bearish, we usually see some decent bullish price action for Bitcoin. Not always, but usually. And usually when the DXY is bullish, we often see some sort of bearish price action for Bitcoin. And so once again, it's important to understand that it's not a 100% perfect accurate indicator, but it is worth pointing out that the DXY is dropping to the downside right now in the short term, forming lower highs again, which is a bearish signal for the DXY and technically a bullish signal for Bitcoin to look out for. And with that being said, taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, and of course, over the last 1 day, we continued the breakout here in the short term a little bit higher above this previous area of short-term resistance, which was previous significant support and should now act as new support again, as we saw with the latest retest, and that's sitting in between around 56 to 57,000. So once again, that is acting as support. And as for resistance, we do have some resistance starting at just above 59,000, closer towards around 59,500 based on the volume profile indicator. And we have this area of resistance right here based on previous support in the price and previous resistance sitting in between around just above 60,000 to 61,000. And then we have a decent amount of resistance at around 64,500. And so obviously, despite the fact that the price is already starting to look more bullish again in terms of the short-term trend and momentum for the price of Bitcoin, technically speaking, we still have a lot of resistance above the price that is worth paying attention to, because usually the price likes to start struggling around key levels of resistance. And if we're zooming further into the short term, looking at the 3-hour Bitcoin chart, we can see obviously higher highs put in place here in the price of Bitcoin in the candle closes. And right now, we actually now have a new confirmed lower high in the 3-hour Bitcoin RSI. So technically speaking, we do have some early confirmation here confirming this new bearish divergence. And so this is a signal in the imminent short term telling us that we're actually starting to lose a bit of this short-term bullish momentum right here. So potentially over the next 1 day or so, we could end up seeing a bit of a slowdown in the bullish momentum, because usually a bearish divergence most commonly plays out in the form of either a short-term pullback or just some choppy sideways price action as the most likely outcomes from a bearish divergence. So this is actually what I now expect over the next 1 day as the most likely scenario. And once again, this shorter term cool off or slowdown in the bullish momentum, at least for now, is happening within a shorter term bullish trend, as we can see right here. And so I basically expect a bit of a break during the short-term bullish trend. But if we're zooming out, that short-term bullish trend is occurring within a much larger bearish trend, because of course, during this much larger bearish trend, that has been the case for basically half a year, we can see multiple short-term bullish trends during the larger bearish trend. And if you want to actually trade these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, personally, I take just about all of my trades over on Bybit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit down below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link down below this video to make a Bybit account and deposit on that account, then you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. And also, if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here, which is a massive lucky draw happening right now over on Bybit, where you could potentially win up to $100,000 or potentially some free Bitcoin or Ethereum or USDT or even a trip to an F1 race just by trading crypto using the link down below this video. And so if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there is Bitfinex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitfinex, which means if you're in the US or the UK, for example, or another country where you may not be able to access Bybit, you can access Bitfinex. And so as an alternative crypto exchange, once again, there's Bitfinex, links down below. And if you use that link down below this video to Bitfinex, you can get up to a 5.5k deposit bonus. And only if you use the link down below this video, you can get an exclusive 10% discount on all trading fees on the Bitfinex exchange forever if you actually use the link below this video to make your Bitfinex account. And so once again, as an alternative crypto exchange, another option other than Bybit, there's Bitfinex, links down below if you want to claim those extra bonuses. And with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, and we now have a new area of liquidity starting to build here in the short term, and this is sitting at roughly around 58.8k, but it's more of a price range, mainly sitting in between around 58.7k to close to 59,000. And so this is a potential price target in the short term. Once again, we do technically now have an active bearish divergence here on the 3-hour Bitcoin chart. So we could end up seeing a little bit of a short-term cool-off, maybe over the next day or so, and then perhaps continue the bullish trend later on, taking out that area of liquidity. And so that's definitely an important area to pay attention to on the price chart. And as for liquidity to the downside, we do have a small amount at basically just above 57,000. So keep that in mind. It's possible we could come back down to maybe 57,000 and then actually bounce back up to take out that higher liquidity. That is a possibility. But at least for now, the main level of liquidity is just underneath 59,000 based on this liquidation heat map here in the shorter term. And with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the 3-day time frame, and right now we're technically still within the larger bearish trend, but obviously we're still holding above this major area of support. We have significant support still sitting at around 2150 to 2.2k. So I still continue to expect the price to hold above this area, as I've been saying over the last 1 week, 1 to 2 weeks. And obviously I've not only been saying that I expect the price to hold above this area based on this support, it's also due to the fact that we now have an active bullish divergence that has already been playing out for nearly a week now, and I continue to expect this bullish divergence to play out at least over the next week, maybe longer, but at least for the next week or so, because usually a bullish divergence on the daily time frame plays out over a couple of weeks before it starts losing relevance. And as always, a bullish divergence most commonly plays out in the form of either a slight bullish relief or just some choppy sideways price action as the most likely outcomes from a bullish divergence. And while the price is still actively playing out this bullish divergence here on the daily time frame, we're still seeing the outcome of this oversold signal here on the 12-hour time frame, where the price basically bounced from oversold territories in the 12-hour Ethereum RSI. And like I said back then, close to a week ago, we're due to see a bit of a bounce here in the short term as the most likely scenario based on all of these other times where we've seen this same signal confirm here in the 12-hour Ethereum RSI. But like I've also said over the last week or so, even though we have been expecting a bit of a bounce, a bullish relief here in the short term, even though this has been playing out as expected, of course, this signal does not necessarily mean we're going to reverse out of the larger bearish trend, because as we've seen in all of these previous times, yes, we've seen a short-term bullish relief over the next few days or weeks, but not necessarily a reversal out of the larger bearish trend. And with that being said, if we're zooming into the shorter term, looking at the 3-hour time frame, we can now see a new symmetrical triangle pattern, also known as a horizontal triangle pattern, forming on the 3-hour time frame, with this descending line of resistance coming into play at around 2370, and this ascending line of support coming into play at approximately 2330. And from where we are right now, as of recording this video, to the end of the triangle, the apex of this triangle, that's in around a day to 2 days from now, basically 1.5 days, which means over the next 1 to 2 days, we are going to eventually break out either above this resistance or below this support. So we're getting very close to the next major move, at least in the short term, for the price of ETH. And if we're measuring out the technical price targets for a breakout for this pattern right here, if we see a confirmed breakout above that line of resistance, that would set up a bullish price target at around 2460, which from the point of the breakout to that price target would be roughly around a 4% move to the upside. But on the other hand, if we see a confirmed break below this line of support, then that would set up a bearish price target sitting at around 2240 to 2250 approximately, which from the point of the breakdown to that price target would be just under a 4% move to the downside. And so obviously, as of right now, we have not confirmed a break to either direction. So we have not confirmed either price target, at least for now. But once we actually see a confirmed break of one of these levels, either support or resistance, with candle closes basically on the other side of resistance or support, then that would confirm the bullish or bearish price target based on if we break support or resistance. And now, as always, this is not personal financial advice, but let's just say a potential trading strategy when it comes to a pattern like this. If we, for example, see a confirmed breakout above resistance, that could potentially be an opportunity to enter a long position. Once we actually confirm a breakout above resistance, enter a long position, for example, that's a possible trading strategy, and then take profits close to the price target or around major resistance. But of course, if we never see the confirmed breakout above resistance, then we'll never enter a long position. And instead, if we continue to reject from resistance and eventually see a confirmed break to the downside, then in that situation, if we first see a confirmed break below support, then we could potentially start entering into a short position, for example, and trade the move to the downside and take profits either close to the price target or around major support. And personally, when it comes to trading moves like this, I personally like to use a stop loss. So for example, if we break one of these levels and then invalidate the break by seeing a break back to the upside above support, or for example, if we break out to the upside and then break back below that previous resistance, that would invalidate the breakout. And so personally, I place my stop loss just on the other side of the point of invalidation. So in the case of a long position, I'd place my stop loss just below the point of invalidation, or in the case of a short position, I'll place my stop loss just above the point of invalidation. And essentially, as the trade moves further into profits, whether it's a short position or a long position, personally, I like to move my stop loss at least towards my entry, towards break even, and ideally into profits as the trade moves further into profits. And so that's just an example of a trading strategy as to how we could potentially make money in either direction. No matter if we break bullish or bearish, we just need to first wait for a confirmation signal of breaking one of these levels. We can make money in either direction, but as always, that's just an example of a trading strategy and not personal financial advice, because I don't know your personal financial situation. But with that being said, if we're taking a look at the price of Solana right now, Solana here on the daily time frame is still actively playing out this bullish divergence as expected, which once again means we're most likely going to see either a slight bullish relief or just some choppy sideways price action here in the short term. And so far, over the last half a week to 1 week now, we've seen pretty much exactly that as expected, and I continue to expect this bullish divergence to play out at least for the next week, maybe longer, but at least over the next 1 week or so. And we're also still seeing the price struggle very close to this major area of resistance as expected, sitting in between around 138 to 143. So once again, expect the price to struggle around there. And if we see a confirmed breakout above 143 and actually ideally flip that area into new support, then in that case, the next major area of resistance to the upside above that area is sitting in between around 159 to 163. And as for support, in case we see another rejection from this resistance at around 138, we do have this major area of support right here in between around 120 to 128. And as for the shorter term movement, the price of Solana usually just follows what Bitcoin and Ethereum are doing. So if Bitcoin is bullish or bearish, for example, Solana is just likely going to follow what Bitcoin and Ethereum are doing. So when it comes to the short term price action for Solana, just pay attention to what I said for Bitcoin and Ethereum. And as always, if you want to trade these moves in the price of any crypto, check out those links down below this video to claim those extra bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.